Hello, people out there, and welcome back to the Her Game 2 podcast, episode 3, I think we're on now. I'm your host, a moron with a microphone, Mark Watson, and I'm joined by Roopa Vyas.
Hello.
Hello.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm glad you think so. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm kicking on. I've got the Man City game on because I know you all have a vested interest in this game at the moment.
Yes.
Have you got it on anywhere?
No, I'm kind of trying to avoid it. I'm using this as like a saving grace.
Really? So I'll try
Yeah.
not to cheer when Man City score then.
Yeah, please don't.
Partly because I'm a Birmingham City fan and I don't want Wolves to win. Partly because, unfortunately, I quite like Man City.
Oh, who actually likes Man City other than like their 10 fans?
Do you know what it is? I should probably preface this by saying, Rupert, you are a Liverpool fan, just to make all this make sense. Otherwise, it just seems like I'm being a bit of a dick. I don't know what it is about Man City. I shouldn't like them because they bought everything, essentially. They are the epitome of what I shouldn't like in football. But for some reason, I just take a shine into them. It could genuinely be the documentary about them.
I think the documentary is more of a comedy show. Not gonna lie.
That's
From a Liverpool
mean.
perspective.
Oh, that's mean. I hated that episode. I felt so bad for him.
I loved it.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like them. Anyway, enough about Man City. We're here to talk about you, Roopa. We're here to talk about Her Game 2. We're here to talk about Liverpool. So tell us about you. How did you find football? What brought you to the game to begin with?
So yeah, I've grown up with an older brother. So I was pretty much a boy growing up. I was like the biggest tomboy around. I wanted to do everything my brother was doing. So like there's like music interests and stuff like that I just took off him. Thankfully, I didn't take his football team because he supports United. I followed my dad and support Liverpool. But I just fell in love with football, like just playing in school, like playing in the playground. I was one of those, like there was like three of us girls who play at break time with all the boys. I just sort of like fell in love with it through that. And
did you have a girls' team at football, or was it more you and your mates kicking it around?
No, so back in the day, it's been a while now, when I was in school, there was no like girls' team. Then they eventually like brought it in when I got to the end of primary school, and we did have a girls' team, but it was more like there was a few of us who wanted to play, and then there was a few people who wanted to get out of school for the tournaments. So yeah, and they couldn't kick a ball, so it
Sounds
was
like
a mix. Well, pretty much, but it was good. It was fun. Like we just enjoyed it. So there was nothing serious about it. We just wanted to play the sport. So
yeah, I've said on the past podcast with Eve and Kaz, there was no girls' football team when I was at school. It was boys only, and girls got to play netball, and that was it. But particularly with the Her Game 2 campaigns, having to try and change that. I know you're doing talks in schools and stuff, and trying to push that on. So. Liverpool. Why Liverpool and not United? In fact, I'll branch that out. Why are there so many Liverpool fans in Wales?
Do you know what? I think it could be to do with the connection of like. So for me, I feel like Wales and Liverpool are very similar.
Right.
So I lived in Wales my whole life, but I went to uni in Liverpool, so I understand. Yeah. So I've experienced both, and it's very relatable. I think it might be to do with like. The UK and how like Wales are treated in the UK and how Liverpool specifically has been treated. Like this is all going like political now.
No,
but
let's go there.
Yeah, but I think like it's very relatable. I mean, like Liverpool's like a socialist city and Wales is very like socialist. So I think that could be a part of it. I mean, like I know North Wales, there's probably a lot of Liverpool fans because of like the proximity, but South Wales, I think Liverpool is one of the most supported. I don't know if it's because like we played down in the Millennium Stadium for a few like League Cup finals and FA Cup finals back in early 2000s.
We played against you.
Yeah,
we lost against you.
Yeah,
we were robbed against you. We should have had a penalty.
Okay.
You watch that back. Ellery should have given us a penalty. Listen, we're not going there.
Finals to watch, mate. I don't have time to watch.
Get lost.
But yeah, so I think it's like that connection with like Wales and Liverpool. I don't know. For me, I think like they're very much like intertwined. Like if Wales go independent, I want to take Liverpool with us. So I think there's that connection. That's probably it. But for me, my dad supported Liverpool. Like he's got family up there and stuff. So I just took after him. God knows what got into my brother's head. I think he was glory hunting at the time. And he supports United. Now he's suffering and I'm loving life. So
wow, yeah. So are you Scouse, not Welsh? Because they all say Scouse, or not all, but some say Scouse, not English.
I love being Welsh. Yeah. That's the thing. They hate being English. I love being Welsh. So I've got the best of both worlds.
Scouse and Welsh. My brother-in-law's Welsh. I love Wales. Absolutely love Wales. I've got family over there, and yeah, I love it because they've always been second to us in sport in general. So.
Okay. Yeah. Not for long. Just wait till we get to Qatar.
Yeah, true. So when did you go to your first Liverpool game? How old were you?
So 2003, I was 6, and it was actually against United.
Really?
Yeah.
Score?
2-0. Gerard Nowen.
Oh, there you go. Was it love at first sight?
That's the thing. I think I fell in love with Gerard on that day. I was only 6, but he's the love of my life.
Yeah. He did you a favour yesterday as well, didn't he?
Well, kind of. He nearly took points off us.
Yeah, but he put Mings on the pitch, so that's a win straight away for you. Do you think he'll come to you after the Villa?
Oh, see, this is what I tweeted about this earlier. I don't like the whole, this is our present and this is our future. Like, just let him do his job. See where he's at when, like, we've got Jurgen for another 4 years. So why are we even thinking about that? And I only want him if he's doing a great job and he's actually going to be the right fit for us. Otherwise, we've got Pep Linders as our assistant coach. Like, take him. I don't want him for, like, sentimentality, if you know what I mean. Like, he was a legend. I don't want him to ruin that.
Well, Lampard sort of has done that a bit, didn't he, when he went to Chelsea? And it's not always the return of the golden boy, is it? So I mean, he did well at Rangers. I quite like him at Villa because they've achieved absolutely nothing this season.
I mean, I think he'll get better. He needs experience, and obviously Premier League experience is great for him. But let's just see where he's at when we're looking for a new manager. Until then, I don't even want to talk about that.
No. So
I'm happy with you.
Are you going to win the quadruple this year?
So if you asked me last week before the Spurs game, I would have said hell yeah. Now I'm a bit like we have to, like, obviously rely on teams like Wolves tonight, maybe Villa on the last day. So I don't actually know, and I don't want to say yes because people are gonna, like, screen record this and post this.
Yeah.
So no.
As an unbiased Birmingham City fan, the main reason I want Man City to win it is because it's Man City against Villa on the last day of the season, and it would just be perfect for Grealish to score that last goal, run and celebrate in front of the Villa fans. That would make me a very happy man. And if Liverpool have to fall for that to happen, I'll take it. I'll accept it. It's okay.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I think, like, on the last day we might get a glimmer of hope. We had it, like, I think it was 2-3 years ago now. I was at Anfield, and then, like, news was going around that Brighton scored, and we were like, oh my god. I literally started, like, crying.
Really?
And then City scored, like, seconds later. We had, like, 70 seconds of hope. They were the best 70 seconds of my life, because that was before we, like, won the league for the first time in, like, 30 odd years. So
it's the hope that kills you, unfortunately.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. Man City have a history of throwing things away a bit.
Yeah, but I don't think they will on the last day.
Don't you think?
They need to do it tonight or whenever they play next.
Wow, we're 5 minutes in and it's still 0-0. So
there is hope.
There is hope. How do you think you'll do against Chelsea on Saturday?
I don't want to be too confident, because last time I was quite confident. Then it went to penalty. It went to the last penalty. So I don't know. I mean, I've not seen us lose this season, and I will be there. So I'm hoping that's a good sign.
Yeah. Well, this might actually not go out until after Saturday, so we may have to just record 2 versions, one where you're really humble and one where you're bragging. So we may have to come back and edit this. But in terms of her game too, how did you get involved with the campaign? What brought you to it? Were you there from the early days, right from the first video? Or?
Yeah, so I saw the first video. I think I had, like, 1 or 2 of the girls on social media. I didn't really have a lot of them because my issue was finding, like, other females of. I mean, I didn't really have, like, females of other teams, like fans from teams. So yeah, but I saw that campaign. I started following the girls, and like I got involved with some of their stuff with the Euros, like representing Wales. And then I really wanted to be a part of it. I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, this looks incredible. Like these girls are doing something amazing. Like why wasn't I part of this? Like I didn't know them. So and then yeah, I had chats with Amy, and then we had a call, and we just yeah, really wanted to be the ambassador. I basically like was like, hey, you don't have a Liverpool ambassador, so could I like? She was like, yeah, we'd love you, but like it was more just like we don't have one. Is there one in mind, or could I do this?
Yeah.
And like for me, it's more like when I want something done, like I want Liverpool to be a partner. I like doing things myself, so I know that I'm like doing it. I may not be doing it the right way, like I'm doing it my way, and I like things my way.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I just really want to get involved in like any capacity. So yeah, to be the ambassador, is amazing.
So when did you first come on? How long after the video? Was it quite soon?
No, so I only got announced 2 months ago.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd been doing it longer
So
than that.
yeah, quite new. I'm really enjoying it though. Like
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
we've got like a little community of like female fans, and I just love it. Like everyone's so supportive, and I feel like I've known them for ages and I've never even met any of them.
Really?
So yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, everyone I've spoke to so far has said the same. One of the things about it is the community you girls have got now. And almost that support network. There's been some pretty harrowing stories from some of the girls. Was it negative experiences like that sort of brought you to the table, or?
Yeah, so for me, like growing up, obviously, like as a girl, I'm in a male-dominated family pretty much. I think like liking football for me, so being Asian, it's always been something that it's like it's wrong.
Really?
Yeah, and like obviously I've got the struggle of just being a woman who likes football. That's hard enough. And then I've got the own stereotypes like from my family, from relatives, that just other Asian people who feel the need to like tell me what I can and can't do.
Right.
So yeah, it's been like struggles in both aspects. So like I feel like I shouldn't be doing this. That's what makes me want to do it more.
Really?
Yeah.
Even from your dad and brother who are football fans themselves?
So not so much from them, but I think it's more like outsiders or like older generations as well. But there are people like my parents' generation who like friends and outsiders who are like, oh, she's gone to the football, or like she's involved in this football stuff. So if I post about stuff on Facebook, they're a bit like, oh, why is she doing this? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. So
do you think that's a cultural thing, like a heritage thing, or do you think that's a female thing, or a mix of the two?
It's a mix of both. So like in this, it's more like, no, you should be, you know, studying. Well, like now it's like studying and getting a job. Like I'm a woman in STEM. I work in science. So
cool.
I'm already a minority there. So I face the struggle there and in football.
Minority and a minority.
Yeah, like everywhere. But then I think like being an Asian woman, like people expect you to study, work, then like, you know, learn to cook and like have a family and stuff. And like for me, that's not the priority. My priority is football.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shock to a lot of people. I think no one expected me to be like this into it. Like not let alone like just liking it, but getting involved in like football related work. It's not my full-time job, but I'd love it to be one day.
Yeah, tell me about it, wouldn't we all? Would you say that sort of older generation in your sort of from your background, is that a rhetoric that's dying out perhaps, or is it becoming, would you say it's more accepted now for someone of your background?
For someone, I know a few like Asian girls who are like 6 and 7, like quite young, and like their family is so like they go to the football and stuff, and they're really supportive, and they get their dads take them to play football, and they play for teams. They go and watch like Liverpool home and away. They've been to more games than me probably.
Really?
Yeah, recently there was a documentary on Bend It Like Beckham, because it's been 20 years since that came out, and I think that film basically sums up everything that I felt like about football. And I think it hits on a lot of points, and it was quite like ahead of its time when it came out, and it was quite a big thing for it to come out with like Asian actresses and like the producer and director, I think. And yeah, it's such a big film, and that was such a big film for me. And like for people watching it, I think if you don't understand where I'm coming from, like with this Asian stereotype female fan, that film sums it all up, basically.
Yeah.
So I think it is dying out, but I think it's these like perceptions. So I always felt like I'm constantly like disappointing someone and doing something wrong.
Really?
Just by going to watch football, yeah, because like, oh, it's not safe, or like it's a male-dominated environment, but it's not. Like, if you go to a Liverpool game, there are so many women of like all ages. If you look in the crowd, like, I know there's not a lot of Asian women, but that's why, because like maybe they think that, oh, I can only watch it at home. When my like siblings or my parents or cousins or whoever are watching, and not like off their own back.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be quite tough, going through life thinking that the thing you love the most is upsetting the people you love the most, or disappointing the people you love the most.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, for my family, like my parents have been quite supportive. Like my grandparents are a bit like they're coming to terms with the fact that I'm doing all this work, and like I think they realise the impact it has. But there's times where I've done something. So, for example, last summer for the Euros, I was involved with FA Wales doing the squad announcement. So I was like on a panel with like a former women's player, former men's player, and it was me. I was the only fan. I thought there would be a few, but it was just me, and like it was live, and it was pretty big. Like, it's probably the biggest thing I did at that time, and I just didn't think it was that big, because I just thought, well, people like play it down, or they're just like, oh, whatever, like. Yeah. But I've achieved some pretty big things with football, and yeah, I just want to be like proud of it, and not like, oh, I've disappointed someone by doing this.
Yeah, 100%. You should be proud. I'm proud. You're the first blue tick I've had from Twitter on a podcast. So you do,
you know.
Yeah, the first celebrity I spoke to. I'm all nervous and shy.
I'm like a Z-list celebrity.
You're higher than me. So you do bits and bobs for Liverpool, isn't that right?
Yeah, so while I was at uni, it basically took off. So just before I went to uni, I started writing for a blog, like a fan blog. And then because I went to uni in Liverpool, I sort of like started to, like, the football blogging awards was around then. So I kind of like, I ended up getting us nominated because I started networking. I just went around, like, started telling everyone about my blog. And then it kind of like grew from there, because like I was networking, I got to know like people like Redmen TV and things like that. And I've just done a bit of work like here and there and everywhere, like alongside doing my science degree. So yeah, I think it's been like, it's one of those things that I kept on the side, but thinking about it now, I'm like, why didn't I just do this originally as like a full-time job?
Yeah.
But then I love my job. I work in science, so yeah, I think I've got a good balance, but this takes over my life now. I'm always focused on like her game too, and like doing things, and I'm always like on my phone on the sly, like trying to do some work. We've been in conversations with Liverpool already, so I've got a good contact there now. So we are working on things quite quickly.
Awesome. Anything on the horizon to be announced?
Not just yet as like an official partnership, but I am going to do some work with them internally first. I think it's quite difficult with a club of their size. Like, I know a few Premier League clubs have, but I think especially with the way like our season's going, and there's a lot on their plate at the moment, so it's hard to like fit things in, and things are planned like well in advance. But I'm hoping in the summer I can get some like concrete conversations going, and maybe like just go and meet up with them and like really push it, because I want to get something in place for next season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. With you say you're doing media work and stuff. What do you say to people who, particularly about women, but certainly minority women even more so, the whole box ticking argument, that must boil your blood?
Yeah, so there's times where, like, obviously I don't know if I'm just a box ticker or not. I'm never going to find out. But there's times where I think maybe I was a box ticker, but it's worked to my advantage. Like, there's opportunities I've had where, like, for example, Liverpool with their membership season before last, they used a load of like fan photos. So one of mine was used. It was like taken in 2017. It was like a nice phenomenal cop that was taken at a game, and they used it as their like for their membership ads. But I was like, maybe they used it because I looked at all the other photos and like they used it maybe because I am an Asian female. But at the same time, like that's pretty incredible. I was on billboards, like next on the website. I was next to a picture of Jurgen Klopp holding the Premier League trophy, like. So that kind of worked to my advantage. But at the same time, like, obviously, I don't want to be asked to do something because I am a female or because I am Asian, like to tick those boxes. I want people to like see what I'm doing and just be like, oh, okay, she knows what she's talking about. Let's get her on. Let's get her opinions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you get that thrown at you a lot? The whole box ticking argument.
Yeah, so I don't get told like whether I'm going to be a box ticker
from fans.
Yeah.
I mean, from
I mean, I think a few people. So even with this her game, like a few people when I posted about like, oh my god, I'm part of this. Like, people were a bit like, oh well, how come you're doing it? And it's like, well, I went off my own back and like kind of got myself into it, but like. I think people are a bit like, oh, why are you doing this? Like, I had calls with Liverpool just as like a focus group thing with Liverpool retail about kits with Nike, and people were a bit like, oh, well, why do they want your opinion? And I was like, do you know what? Whatever reason they want my opinion, like they've asked me. So I don't see the issue. Like, I'd be happy if someone has an opportunity like that. So I don't know why people seem to have an issue with like just me as a female, as an Asian, getting opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I am a absolute professional and I do research like mad for these podcasts. I've been camped outside your house watching you for weeks. I know everything about you.
That was that dodgy car on the corner.
That was me.
I was wondering who that was.
That was me. I was with the binoculars. Yeah, that was me. No, from what I've seen of you and your work, I would say the box ticking thing certainly doesn't apply to you. I would say you've got where you are on merit completely, and anyone who suggests otherwise is a dick. And like you say, maybe the odd time it has worked to your advantage, but certainly I hope you don't ponder that too much, because I don't think it's true for a second, based on what I've seen. And who am I to judge? I've no idea. I'm just a dick with a microphone, but I don't think so anyway.
I'll take it. Thank you.
No problem. So with Her Game 2, have you got like a set role with Her Game 2? Do you have a set list of responsibilities, or is it just you cover Merseyside?
So I'm an ambassador, so my like job role, I guess, is to communicate with the club. So currently, as we don't have a partnership, I've done like a survey with like I've literally sent it specifically so I don't get any hijackers, like to female Liverpool fans. I got nearly 300 responses. Which,
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a lot of DMing and copying and pasting. It was hard work, but I got the results, and I'm going to post out the results soon on socials. So probably around when this podcast is posted. So, I've done that just because I wanted to like actually do stuff and like get my background research done. But other than that, right now I'm not currently doing too much because we don't have a partnership, so I can't officially do stuff. But obviously I'm happy to help like Her Game 2 with any reports or anything I can help with. I have set up an email account for people to send any reports to, so I can like try and get them through to the club, because I know a few people did say in the survey that they reported to the club, and I don't know if anything was done, but I don't know if they wanted anything done either. So I think it's a case of if people have something they want to raise, send it to me, and I've got a contact who's happy to take on any feedback. So that's
when you say send it to you, how would these people send it to you?
So my email is Roopa_HGT@outlook.com. It's in my Twitter bio as well. So people can just email me any sort of, mainly sexism related, but any sort of issues specifically for like female fans, and I can raise that to LFC when I speak to them.
Have you had anything yet that's just shocked you, like taken you aback?
Yeah, so in the survey I did, I haven't had any reports yet. I've had a few dodgy emails. Like, that's what you get for putting your email on social media.
Yep.
So they've all been reported as junk. But yeah, in the survey, I had a few. So I had a box which said, like, if you're comfortable to talk about the incident, like, please tell us what happened. And there's a few that happened, like, very recently, and it's quite relatable. So, like, someone had an incident where she was with her boyfriend and, like, 3 other guys, but then, like, she had guys, like, brush past her and make comments at her. This was as recent as Wembley, which was like 3 months ago. So it's happening constantly. It happens. I've had like sexist comments when I'm around other guys, but I think the issue is currently that people don't know like whether to call it out or like whether it is actually bad, because I don't think sexism is being taken seriously.
Well, I spoke to Kaz about this. She told me a few of her stories from when she was younger. And she said they didn't say anything at the time to anyone. And my question was, why not? And her response was basically because that is what football was. It was just the world that they accepted. Would you say that that's similar for yourself?
I'd say so, yeah. I think it's more like the culture and the sort of like the lads banter, like it's sort of accepted. Like I've been in crowds with guys and people make comments about my appearance or like the fact that I'm the only girl there. Like I've been on coaches and I'm the only girl. Like I travel to the match myself. So I've been through like all those situations. I've even had like guys message me while I'm on the coach sat next to my dad.
No way.
Like, yeah, that's like the level of sort of, I don't know, like ignorance, I guess.
Message you what sort of stuff?
Just like, oh, you look good today, and like dodgy, like these are like grown men with kids, and I was like under 18 at the time. So.
No way.
Yeah, but it's just things like that people are so unaware of, like the impact of the words they're saying. So I've had comments about my appearance, or like people, like for example, I get sent like merchandise from my independent sellers, which I'm happy to like promote, and it's only if I really like it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. But people are like, oh, you only get it because like, you know, it looks good on your boobs and stuff like that. And it's like, no, if that's the case, then obviously I don't want to do it. But like, why do people feel the need, even if they're thinking it, like just don't say it.
Yeah.
Like people really need to get a filter and stop saying everything out loud.
Yeah. You don't often see males, good-looking males, get told you sent stuff because of how you look.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so when people say these things, you say get a filter and think first. Do you think they're even slightly aware of the inappropriateness? Is that even a word? That's probably not a word, is it? Inappropriateness. I just made that up. Of how inappropriate these things are. Is it? It is now. I don't know. Who knows?
I genuinely think no, but I think that is also down to like education. Like no one's really told, like it's the same with like wider society. Like people aren't really told like how to treat women and how we should treat each other. Like everyone just, I don't know how to explain it. But with sexism, I think like with racism, there's a lot of things like brought in, like probably in school. I don't know what the curriculum is like now, but like it is always brought up in schools as like a topic in like PSC or something. But with sexism, it's really, I think it's difficult for people to address. And like people don't want to, like even my own friends have said when I posted about her game too, they're like, but you haven't had sexist abuse. And it's like, yes, I did, and you were next to me.
Yeah,
but they don't see it as
didn't resonate.
Abuse.
Yeah.
So now they're like, oh, maybe like I shouldn't say that or whatever. But I think it's like certain behaviors that are like just part of the culture, which we need to like obviously eradicate. And it's going to be like a long time before it's completely, and there's going to be like some idiots who carry on. But I think in general, if people just understand that the words they're saying are like not right and there are consequences, then it should hopefully stop.
What do you think it is about football that makes it so prominent?
I think it's just more because it's everywhere, like on TV and stuff. Like people say to me, why don't you follow the women's team? It's like when I was growing up, was there anywhere to watch the women's team?
Yeah, you
like,
couldn't.
On TV? No, there's no way. There's only just come now and it's 2022. So there's literally like, I think because of that, and it's always been like, like you're watching men and like because I'm a girl, I'm only watching the men's team because I fancy them.
Obviously.
And things like that. Yeah,
Obviously.
because there's no other reason. Why else would I want to watch 22 men kick a ball about? So, yeah, I think it's just always been part of that culture. And I think there's other sports as well where it's predominantly male based. But I don't know, you don't really get that sort of stuff in rugby, or like my friends who play rugby or go to rugby, like they've never experienced like this level of sexism, because it's quite like family orientated, I guess. A lot of families go to rugby, whereas like football, I'd like to think it is a family friendly sport, because it is, but people don't see it like that. Like you don't see like a husband and a wife and their kids there. So
my family are rugby league fans. Gave up with football. When you sport blues, there's a limited amount of time you can watch Birmingham City for before you go, you know what, I'll just pick another sport. I'll watch Tiddlywinks or golf or anything. They turn into St Helens fans. And my sister is avid St Helens fan. It's like she'll tell you everything, the whole history of that club. I don't know if she's ever had any comments, but then I've never really asked her. But she's certainly never complained about any sexist comments at rugby. And like you say, perhaps it is just more of a family-friendly atmosphere. I mean, we went at the Millennium Stadium. They did what was called the Magic Weekend. We're going back like 10 years now. And they basically had Millennium Stadium. Every single rugby league team played each other over a weekend. And all the fans were mixed in together, and it was like a party atmosphere sort of thing. I don't know, maybe the sort of 70s and 80s football fan hasn't quite disappeared yet, and that never develops in rugby. I don't know, but that is a fair point. You don't really see it in other sports.
I think there's a lot of like outdated like views in football as well. Like, for example, with Liverpool, it always comes up like every few weeks, like the Scousers versus out-of-towners debate. And it's like, for me, like I'm Welsh, so I've been going to the match for ages, and like, especially when I was in Liverpool, I was going home and away. I like the crowd got to know me, and I like knew pretty much everyone. If I go in an away crowd now, I'll probably recognise like 90% of them. And I think like most people are accepting of that because they know that you are a proper fan. And I think the issues like with these big clubs is there are going to be like glory hunters, especially now, probably the last few years. But like when people know you, they're fine with it. But I don't know why this debate comes up. And it's the same with like women in football. Like why, when there's people who don't know me, I've had a comment literally just today when I posted about the Steven Gerrard thing, and it was like, get back in the kitchen. I was like, there's always one dickhead who does that. I just blocked because today I wasn't in the mood. Like I got to some idiot pulled out on the roundabout, and I was like, look, my life just flashed before my eyes. I don't want to be in work today. So I literally just got into work and like blocked that person.
Get in the kitchen and make a sandwich.
There's always going to be some. But they're mainly on social media, which is good. But obviously, like you said, we have seen like some retaliation over this Her Game 2 stuff, which I don't understand at all. And I don't see, like, if you've got a problem with people trying to fight some sort of discrimination, then you are the problem.
Absolutely. Couldn't have put that better. Blues over the weekend put some tampon machines in the women's toilets.
Nice.
And that was like result for all the women. But there were some blokes on social media that had a problem with it and started saying snowflakes and woke and all this nonsense. You think, how can you possibly be offended by something that has no bearing on your life?
Every month and then come back to me. Because honestly, you do not want to get caught off guard. I'm trying to push for something like that. Like Liverpool have been doing it. I want something like that in work, because there are like ladies who get caught out, and it's like, if they just had something, like everyone should do it. Like it's not a lot, and like places like that, they can afford it. Clubs can generally afford stuff like that, and it's just a nice gesture. Like women know that they're welcomed, and it's not like a men's toilet that's been converted into women's.
Exactly.
It's a sense of like belonging, that we are meant to be there.
I mean, I know that people like to spout about wokeness and all that, and how anti-wokeness they are, but At what point did having a period become woke? When was that a thing? All you women just decided, let's just do this once a month just to prove a point. It's crazy. I don't know how anyone could have a problem with that, but yeah, it's safe to say he got hounded out by a lot of Blues fans, male and female. But that was a strange thing to have a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a Liverpool fan, you've obviously had highs and lows over your time. More highs than lows, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an absolute pinnacle of your Liverpool fandom that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, I think it'd have to be probably Madrid. I was there. So
really?
This is, yeah. Well, I wasn't in the stadium, but this is part of it. So, like, even for me, traveling as a fan, like, I didn't tell my family that I was going. Yeah, they didn't. I've been to like European aways and stuff because obviously I love the club and I want to experience it all, and I have, but I couldn't tell them because, like, being an Asian female and traveling around watching men play football, that's not allowed.
Really?
But yeah, I think so. That's why it was like mixed emotions for me, because obviously I was like hiding it, but at the same time, like, I was there and we won the Champions League, and this was the first one that I was there and like experienced the full atmosphere and like being grown up and stuff, and it was a mixture of emotions. Like, I sobbed after we won.
Really?
Like, it was probably the easiest one. I knew we were going to win before we went, not going to lie. It was Spurs.
God, you're such a Liverpool fan. Is there anything more Liverpool than that?
I don't want to say that about any more finals, but that was the one where I was like, we went there and I was like, no, we've got this. It's just a case of how we do it.
Oh, God.
So
I've always preferred Everton.
Oh, really?
No, not at all.
I mean, you already told me you're a Man City fan, so...
Do you want to know the score?
No, I already just checked. I had a little sneak peek and I don't want to talk about it.
See how quiet I kept, though? I didn't give it away.
I know. I'm glad. Thank you.
No worries. So how about lows? Was there an absolute pit of despair supporting Liverpool? I guarantee it won't be as low as any of mine, but...
No, probably not. No. But like Hodgson era was quite tough. I mean, I was quite young then, so it was a case of just watching on the telly most weeks. And it wasn't great, but I think for me, I've been quite lucky that I've sort of like become an adult at the right time.
Yeah.
I went to uni in Liverpool, and I picked that purely for the football team. I mean, come on, why? Yes, that's the thing. Like, my dad was telling people that, and they were like, he's joking, but like,
he wasn't.
He knew the real reason. Like, everyone was trying to convince me. I had offers from like the top unis, but I took like Liverpool's the one I waited for, and it was my last offer. But I took it in a heartbeat. I literally jumped out of bed when I got it. It was like late at night, and I was like, this is it. I'm finally... My dream was always just to move there. Like, I loved the city and the people. Every time we went, I just felt so welcomed, and it was like, this is where I want to spend a few years. So I wanted to live there, but COVID happened. So one day my dream will come true, and I will be an adopted Scouser.
Really?
Hopefully my work or either my science work or my football work, something will take me back in that direction.
Yeah.
But then I also love Wales. I don't know. I'll be back like every weekend.
Yeah, my brother-in-law moved to Birmingham from Wales and swiftly moved back. Partly because he missed Wales, partly because it's Birmingham.
I mean, I'm not going to say too much, but I've only been there a few times.
It's beautiful. Parts of Birmingham are absolutely... I think it's like any city, to be honest. There's parts of Birmingham that are stunning. I was there the other day for the first time in a while, actually, the actual centre of Birmingham, because I don't like crowds. And I was shocked. It was stunning. But then you drive 10 minutes down this road or that road and you're in a dumpy area. But I think that's the same with any city, isn't it?
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them, yeah. Not Liverpool, obviously. Liverpool's... So with her game too, where do you see it going from here? Obviously, there's still quite a few Premier League teams that have yet to sign up. Do you just see it growing and growing, or do you think you've hit a peak yet?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, it's under a year old. Definitely not hit that peak yet. I don't think we will for a while, because there's a lot of work, like we've mentioned. Like, there's a lot still to be done. I think the Premier League teams, it will grow like as more and more join. That's why I really want to like that's what I'm saying to Liverpool. Like, look, if you do this, you're not going to be the first because Everton were the first. But, well, that's another big thing as well. Like, Everton are doing it. Why the hell aren't we?
Yeah.
But also, like, a club of our size, if we do it, imagine how much that'll grow. Like, other leagues, this could go, like, global if Liverpool join. So that's what I'm really, really working on. And it's really hard. Like, I thought, oh, maybe I'll just bring it up and they'll be like, yeah, this is amazing. And just like that, done. It's hard work. And there's a lot of work to be done. That's why I said, like, I'm going to do some internal stuff with them to, like, basically sell Her Game 2 to them and convince them. And I think they just want to see, like, how it's received internally. But if Liverpool join, well, not just Liverpool, any of the bigger teams, like the top 6 join, then I think it's going to, like, really take off. Like, the rest of them will all follow suit.
And I thought Tottenham signing up might have been the catalyst for that. But it didn't seem to, did it? So yeah.
Not yet, but I think that's the thing. I think the more and more teams do it, like that's what I'm trying to say to Liverpool. I don't want them to be the last ones. Like, you don't want to join because the other teams have, but even if we can get that and it pushes, like, more and more teams, and I think it's a good network. Like, every team has female fans, so just to have that network, like, maybe they've got something in place. Like, I know Liverpool said they've got stuff in place internally, and a lot of clubs probably do, especially the bigger ones. But if we can just, like, work together on something, or we can just help out in any way, and if they literally say, no, we've got it, then fair enough to them, and we can just try and support on socials, like, as Her Game 2, and people can send stuff to us instead.
So what?
But at least if we've got contact,
yeah,
I think that would just be good enough.
What are the roadblocks to signing up? Because, like you say, you girls basically do all the work anyway, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's so, like, we've been told that they've already got a sort of, like, minorities, like, support group, and it covers, like, disabled supporters.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but my question then has to be, were you aware of that?
Yes, but at the same time, so this is what I'm saying, they've got disabled supporters, they've got, like, BAME and LGBTQ, and, like, certain, like, they've got the groups, and there is, like, sexism, but this is what I want to bring up next time, is that I don't think that sexism is being promoted, because I didn't hear of it until I, like, properly looked at the website. And
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Whereas, like, I knew about the disabled supporters because they post about it constantly, and there's always, like, events on and certain, like, charity things and, like, giveaways and stuff like that, and it's really well promoted. And if they're not promoting it, then that's our, like, way in of saying we will promote it and we will do the work for you. So yeah, for me, like, a lot of clubs, they say, yeah, we've got this, and they've probably got, like, a document and, like, something, like, outlining that we do not tolerate sexism, but are they doing anything about it? If someone wants to report it, what are they doing? Because I've had a few that said they reported to the police or they reported to the club. Like, only a handful, but what did they do? Even if, like, the person didn't want something done, what did they go on and, like, come up with as a solution to stop this, or, like, to address next time? So I think that's where we can step in, and that's, like, we're happy to do the work. Like, it's going to be hard work, but we're happy to take it on. So if they're happy to have us on board, then that's our way in with a lot of these clubs.
It's interesting that I don't want to insult them by saying smaller, but smaller clubs signed up a lot quicker. Maybe it's just the management structure, and obviously the bigger the club, the more people in charge. Maybe it's just got to go so far up that ladder before it gets approved, perhaps. I don't know, but like you say, once Everton were on, and Spurs, and Brentford, and Villa, that's 4 Premier League teams, Wolves 5 Premier League teams, you would assume that all the dominoes would fall, but it seems to be taking a bit of time.
I think it's more like we want to sell it, so like, we've been told they don't want to do it as a one-off gesture, which is great. Like, they love the movement. They've, like, he literally, like, complimented Her Game 2 so much on our call the other week, and we're in contact. He literally just emailed me today, and, like, they've really, like, taken feedback on board. Like, I've got a lot of personal views, so it's good to, like, get it all out. But like, they really love what we're doing. I think it's more just there's a lot of logistics with, and like I said, they've got, like, their Red Neighbours scheme and stuff, so for them to like tie it in. Like we said, we don't want to just have like our badge everywhere for nothing. Like it's only if we're working with them on this, then maybe they can, like, they've got Kick It Out, for example, for racism, and that's like obviously for all clubs. So why can't we have something like that? Like we just have to sell it to them and just convince them that it's right. Because I think another club, well, I know Spurs have, but maybe if another big club signed up and they could see like exactly what was going on, like promo wise, there's a lot to consider. And like maybe funds and stuff. I mean, it shouldn't really be an issue, but then again, I think Liverpool are skint. So yeah, I think like finding things like that and like maybe ideas. So I'm literally, what I'm doing right now is just like jotting down any ideas, like they were talking about internal talks and stuff, like maybe just for staff, but like putting on certain events and that, and like talking about experiences, for example. And then maybe if that takes off and we can convince them, then we can take it forward and push it out to fans.
Are there any Liverpool players in particular that have interacted with her game too? You could maybe use them as the channel.
I've tried. Yeah. So I've been DMing, even my survey as well. I tried to DM it to a few people, but I don't have like an actual contact like in the women's team, but I've got a few on LinkedIn that I want to sort of like engage now. I just wanted to get like fans' perspectives. I want to get like staff members, maybe a few like players. But like even for us, like we're trying to pull on the whole, a lot of these, like the men's team, for example, they've got daughters. So like they would, I think if we spoke to like a player, they would probably be like all in for this, like promoting this anti-sexism, because, you know, it's personal for them as well. So if we can sort of like pull on that, and like everyone's got a reason to be involved in it. I don't see, even if you didn't have a daughter, like why wouldn't you want to like support this?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I think it's more just like making it relatable for everyone, like even for the men's team, it's relatable for all of them.
Yeah. So you mentioned Kick It Out, and there's obviously organisations like Rainbow Laces. Is that where you see her game to sort of settling in the future as one of those sort of nationally recognised brands?
Definitely, yeah. I think so. Especially with the way it's grown in under a year, I think the only way is that, like, genuinely the work everyone has done has been incredible. Like every day I think we're like congratulating someone on something in our group chat, which is amazing. So yeah, like I said, like the only way is that, and it's going to grow massively, and it's not something that's going to be like, oh, we'll do it for like 2 years and then that's it, we don't need it. Well, I mean, I hope we don't need it,
yeah,
but at the same time there's a lot of work to be done, so it's going to take time, and there's always going to be like education in schools, maybe like helping local teams and things like that. So I think it can grow to that sort of level, and I hope it really does, but we need the support of the clubs to like build.
Yeah, I've said it on past episodes of this, but one of my favourite things about the campaign is the grassroots side of it. And you scroll through that Twitter feed, and it's all about grassroots, not all, but largely about grassroots football. And I know it's like the merchandise, a lot of that money is heading towards grassroots football when it finally gets unlocked. So yeah, even if you do manage to eradicate all sexism from the game, those girls' teams will still exist, and that grassroots football will still exist. I was talking to a friend yesterday about women's football in general, and he was saying how it's a different game to the men's, blah blah, all this nonsense. It was more of a heated debate than a conversation, should we say? But you got to bear in mind that the men's game has had decades and decades and decades of investment. The women's game just hasn't, and it starts on that grassroots level. Like I say, like we said right at the top of this show, there was no girls team at my school, and there was no girls team at your school, and you are younger than me, so it must be very recent that they've bothered to actually bring these things out. And it takes girls like you and the frankly fantastic work that you've been doing to bring it into the light and almost force it into existence. And it's one of those things as a male bystander that you kind of think, oh yeah, I didn't even realise this was a problem. because it has never affected me. I'm straight white male. It's never affected me, so it never occurred to me this was a problem. But then when you take time to look at it in a retrospective way, you think, oh yeah, there wasn't a girls' team at my school. They were forced to play netball. They weren't allowed to wear trousers in school and things like that, and they were sort of treated as being separate from us. And it's one of my favourite things that Kaz said on the first episode. It's her game too. That too is so important. And yeah, I've said it to you. I've said it to Eve. I'll say it to anyone who comes on. Just a massive thank you from me. I've got a daughter, and I know that she loves football, and she's going into a better footballing world because of the work you girls do. So
yeah, that's exactly why we want to do it, though. That's the thing. Like, it's for the future generations. Like, things are a bit easier now because there's things in place, but it's still not easy. Like with the women's team, I remember the Wales team. I think it was a few years ago now, 2-3 years ago. They were wearing men's or boys' kits.
Really?
Because there was no women's kits. Yeah, this was as recent as, I think it was the last, maybe 2016, the old kit. Because I remember I had to buy like junior large or whatever to fit, because they didn't do women's sizes. And it's little things like that they're not seeing as serious. They're thinking, oh well, they can fit into a boy's shirt or a men's shirt, whereas like the fit is not right. And it's not fair. Like, why can't they just make women's kits?
It's almost like a gatekeeping thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you're not specifically told this isn't for you. You're just shown this isn't for you. And then another one that I didn't even know that was a thing. But there you go. That's my ignorance.
Well, it's little things that I didn't even think, and I was like, oh yeah, I can fit into a boys anyway, it's cheaper or whatever. But then I was like, wait, why? We've got a women's team, so why aren't they women's kits? Like, if we didn't have a team, I kind of get it because they're not making them. But well, for the fans, they should be like women's kits anyway. But we have an actual women's team, so like it's baffling. Honestly, I don't understand it. It's like, who approved that? Like, who said, no, we don't need that?
Don't bother with that.
Yeah. I hope they're not in their job now. I'm just saying that.
So what does the future hold for Roopa? What does the future hold for you in the world of football? Obviously, you're going to win the quadruple. That goes without saying.
Fingers crossed. I don't know. I'll see how this season goes, and that'll determine whether I have reached the pinnacle of football like forever in my 25 years of life, or whether there's more to come. Like, if we do the quadruple this year, honestly, what more can we do? Like, every season is not going to compare. Even if we win like the league and the Champions League next year, like if we win the quadruple this year, it's like, oh well, we've seen that all before now. Nah, I'm joking.
What are you going to do when you finish this season with a League Cup and nothing else?
Cry, probably. All my tweets, go through my entire social media and just delete everything and not talk to any rival fans ever again.
We will do another podcast the week after.
Oh, please, no. I'll be busy. I'm fully booked, sorry. I think, well, we've got exciting. So, like, this weekend is Wembley. Next weekend, I'm in Liverpool for the Wolves game. Weekend, potentially a league. And then weekend after, Paris, Champions League. So, busy few weeks ahead. But then the week after that, Wales win the World Cup qualifier playoff, the final, against Scotland/Ukraine. So, I've literally, my life is just football now. I'm literally just living for the weekend.
What a life. So
I'm just going to take those 4 weeks, and I can tell you that after that, I'm probably going to take a long break from everything because my bank account is crying. And then I will reassess. I've got a few talks with her game too, and I'm really going to like push this as much as I can, especially when there's like no football over summer. Just like go, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try and convince them, get them on my side. Well, they're on my side, but like, get something locked in for next season. That's my goal. That's as far as I'm going. And then next season, we'll probably win the quadruple again.
Obviously. Even if Haaland goes to City, which he is.
Oh, well, yeah, he is. I don't even like City. Like, ugh, I hate them. There was no rivalry before. And now they're trying to force it. Everything they do just winds me up.
What, winning games? Selfish bastards.
Signing Haaland. Pep crying about everything.
Pep crying about everything. Pep. Klopp who complained the grass was too long once.
Yeah, but Pep's crying that everyone supports Liverpool. You've just proved that not everyone supports Liverpool.
Klopp is the biggest moaner in football.
Pep is... Oh, no, don't get me started, please.
Okay. We'll leave it there before we develop into a full-blown argument. I don't even support Man City. I just want to wind you up.
It's work. Well done.
Roopa, your determination is absolutely contagious. It's brilliant. I've loved every second of this chat. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for donating an hour of your time to me and this podcast. Keep up the good work. It's fantastic, and hopefully we'll see Liverpool on side sooner rather than later. Perhaps it will soften the blow of them losing the quadruple. I don't know. No.
I'll push that. If we don't win it, I'll push that.
Push that angle. Yeah.
We need to get the fans back on side.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to lots of Liverpool fans coming for me after this. It's all a joke, I promise. Roopa, thank you very, very much for joining me. I've loved it. It's been brilliant. You're a credit to the campaign, and long may it continue. Good luck with everything in the future, and have a brilliant time in Paris. And that's it for the Her Game 2 podcast episode 3. I don't know who's on next, but I'm sure it'll be just as interesting. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.